Imagine for just a second that you and, well, your entire civilization,
Right.
everyone you know, every city you've ever built, literally the ground beneath your feet. Imagine all of it just getting swallowed by a literal dimension of nightmare.
A completely terrifying thought.
Yeah, like not a natural disaster, not a changing climate or, anything we could prepare for. We're talking about an encroaching realm of pure, hostile, metaphysical chaos.
Basically hell on a cosmic scale.
Exactly. And against all conceivable odds, you survive. You don't just survive for a year or even a decade, but you survive for 10,000 years in the absolute dark.
Which is, I mean, mathematically impossible.
Right. But here is the real twist. When you finally find your way back to the normal universe, when you finally return to your own people, they don't, welcome you with open arms.
No parades for these guys.
No parades at all. Instead, they lock their doors and look at you with absolute terror.
Which, it completely shatters that traditional hero's journey we're used to.
Oh, totally.
I mean, the archetype always tells us that you slay the dragon, you crawl out of the underworld, and your people celebrate your return.
Right, they throw a feast or whatever.
Exactly. But here, the people you fought so hard to return to, well, they're convinced that you brought the underworld back with you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's this reception built on just profound paranoia.
And that terrifying, really tragic paradox is the reality for Craftworld Altansar. So today's deep dive is all about those Azuriani who, well, they fell into the eye of terror, right?
Held their breath for 10 millennia.
Yeah. Held their breath for 10,000 years and then came out the other side fundamentally broken.
Or at least forever changed.
Exactly. We're looking at the true psychological and cultural cost of surviving the warp. We're really unpacking how a society adapts physically, mentally, morally when that line between life and damnation is just utterly blurred.
Well, to really get into that, we need to start by looking at the actual mechanics of the trap that caught them.
Okay, let's unpack this.
So when the fall of the Eldar happened,
Yeah.
right, and Slanesh was literally birthed into existence.
Which is an insane concept on its own.
Oh, absolutely. The sheer psychic shockwaves of that birth just obliterated the core of the Eldari Empire. I mean, most craft worlds that were even remotely close were instantly shattered.
We're just completely consumed right then and there.
Right. But Altansar survived that initial catastrophic birth pang.
Which is a miracle.
It is,
Yeah.
but their survival was temporary because they quickly found themselves caught in the gravity well of the newly formed Eye of Terror.
Okay, I really want to focus on that phrase for a second, gravity well, because I think it's easy for you, the listener, to just picture a standard black hole, right?
Like a sci-fi movie pulling a ship in.
Exactly, where you just, I don't know, fire your thrusters and try to break orbit. But a warp gravity well is not just physical mass pulling on a metal hull.
No, it's so much worse.
It's reality itself unraveling. The warp is bleeding into real space, and Altansar is basically sitting on the edge of the sinkhole.
A sinkhole made of literal nightmares.
Right. And they don't just slip in overnight. They fought a 500-year siege against it.
Half a millennium.
5 centuries of desperately trying to hold back the inevitable.
The physical and psychic toll of that 500-year stand is, well, it's almost staggering to contemplate.
Yeah. I mean, how do you even...
We are talking about a highly advanced society that suddenly has to reallocate every single fraction of its societal energy to sheer survival.
Right. No more art, no more culture.
Exactly. They are frantically erecting warding runes. They're sealing the webway portals that are literally bleeding demonic incursions directly into their craft world.
Oh, man.
And they're fighting off waves of warp entities. It isn't a war of conquest. It's a war of desperate, frantic patching.
Think about the generational fatigue of that. I sort of look at it like boarding up the windows of your house because a Category 5 hurricane is coming.
That's a great analogy.
But, the hurricane doesn't stop. It lasts for 20 generations.
Yeah.
Your ancestors started boarding up the windows, you are boarding up the windows, and your children will be boarding up the windows.
And there's no weather report saying it's going to end.
Exactly. And the most soul-crushing part is the creeping realization that the house is going to collapse anyway.
Because it's inevitable.
Right. So if you are sitting on Altansar in, say, year 300 of this siege, how do you wake up every day and fight?
It's a good question.
I mean, how do you keep an entire civilization motivated to keep fighting when the structural integrity of your entire world is failing?
Well, you keep fighting because of what is waiting on the other side of those sealed portals.
The alternative is worse.
Infinitely worse. In the context of the fall, The Ysiriani know exactly what Slanesh represents.
Right, she who thirsts.
Exactly. Death is not the end of their suffering in this scenario. It is literally the beginning of eternal consumption.
Wow.
So they are not fighting for victory. The concept of victory died the exact moment the Eye of Terror opened.
It's just gone.
Yeah, they are fighting for mere delay. It is an act of existential defiance.
I like that existential defiance.
Because every single day they hold the line is one more day their souls belong to them and not to the Chaos Gods.
But the siege does fail eventually, right?
It does. It has to.
Despite half a millennium of this unimaginable grinding war of attrition, the gravity wall finally pulls them under.
They fall into the dark.
Altansar is swallowed entirely into the warp, and out of the billions of souls on that craft world, only one single person makes it out before the doors slam shut.
Morgan Ra.
Yeah, Magan Ra, the Phoenix Lord. And, I mean, the fact that the only guy who escapes is literally known as the Harvester of Souls.
It's incredible.
It is just the bleakest irony imaginable.
It really is. And his escape, well, it defines the tragedy of Altansar for the rest of the galaxy.
How so?
While Morgan Ra becomes the sole custodian of their memory. For all the other craft worlds, Altansar just becomes a ghost story.
A cautionary tale.
Exactly. A cautionary tale about the absolute inevitability of chaos.
Yeah.
And for 10,000 years, that is all they are.
Just a myth.
Dead. Consumed.
Yeah.
Completely lost to the nightmare.
You know, to put 10 millennia into perspective for you, for the listener human recorded history on Earth is roughly half that time.
Right, about 5,000 years.
Right. So think about that. Empires rise, golden ages happen, entire species evolve and go extinct, and through all of it, Altansar is simply gone.
It's a time frame that the human mind really struggles to grasp.
Totally. So for 10,000 years, the Eldari mourn Altansar. They become this grim myth. And then during the 13th Black Crusade, Magan Ra plunges back into the Eye of Terror and actually finds them.
He locates his lost home.
Yes, and not only are they there, but they are intact. They actually survived.
Which is the biggest shock of all.
It's insane. It's like finding a galleon from the Spanish Armada sailing out of the Bermuda Triangle today, and the crew is still on deck just looking back at you.
That's spot on.
It fundamentally breaks the rules of the universe.
Which is exactly why we have to dig into the logistics of that survival.
Right.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Right.
A craft world is a massive, self-contained biosphere.
Right. The size of a small moon or planet.
Exactly. It requires energy, resources, and crucially, psychic maintenance.
Yeah.
So how does a vessel of that incredible scale exist inside the Eye of Terror? The literal domain of chaos.
For 10,000 years.
Right, for 10,000 years without being ripped apart by demonic raiders.
Doesn't make any sense.
The math of standard warfare simply doesn't work. Even if Altansar had the greatest warriors in the entire galaxy, 10,000 years of continuous combat would reduce them to dust.
Just through pure attrition alone.
Precisely. You cannot replace your losses fast enough.
You can't just shoot your way out of the warp.
No.
So if they aren't fighting, they have to be hiding?
Yes.
We are talking about a 10,000-year state of silent running. But, like, what does that actually look like for a civilization?
It's a drastic shift.
You have to power down everything. You have to dim the lights, silence the engines, and, I assume most importantly, dampen your psychic footprint.
That psychic dampening is the crucial element here.
Right, because demons can smell it.
Exactly. Demons are drawn to the bright, emotional, and psychic resonance of the Eldari soul.
Like a beacon in the dark.
Yes. So to hide from them, the Altansari would have had to institute a level of societal suppression that honestly borders on self-mutilation.
Wow.
They had to suppress their emotions, silence their music, and pull back their psychic emanations until they were virtually invisible against the background radiation of the warp.
You are plunging your entire society into a sensory deprivation tank.
Essentially, yes.
And you aren't doing it for, like, a weekend meditation retreat. You were doing it for 10 millennia.
Generation after generation.
I really want you to imagine what that does to a culture. If you have to keep your children from crying too loudly because a demon might hear them through the hull and slaughter millions.
The pressure is unimaginable.
Your entire concept of parenting, of childhood, of existing, it all changes completely.
It becomes an evolutionary time frame at that point.
Right. It's not just a rule anymore.
Exactly. After a few generations, this extreme disciplined suppression is no longer a conscious choice. It becomes biological and cultural instinct.
It's hardwired.
Yes. The art, the philosophy, the vibrant paths of the Ysiriani, all of it is stripped away.
Just gone.
And it's replaced by a monolithic culture of self. They are collectively holding their breath in the dark.
And when you hold your breath for 10,000 years, you don't just, gasp for air and go back to normal the second you break the surface.
No, you really don't.
That suppression becomes your default state, which perfectly explains the chilling reality of what Mog and Ra actually brings back to real space.
The return.
Yeah, when Altansar emerges, there is no joyous celebration.
No feast.
Right, the prodigal son doesn't get a feast. The Ostriani who emerge from that craft world are physically and psychologically terrifying to look at.
The physical manifestations of their ordeal are truly fascinating.
Break that down for us.
Well, the lore describes them as deathly pale, completely devoid of the vibrancy you'd normally expect from the Eldar.
They just look dead.
Basically, they move like ghosts. And perhaps most unsettling to their kin, they speak almost entirely in whispers.
I think about deep-sea creatures that get trapped in underwater cave systems.
That's a great parallel.
Right. After 1,000,000 years in total darkness, a fish doesn't just forget what light is. It actually loses its pigmentation. It loses its eyes because the environment no longer requires them.
It adapts to the void.
Exactly. The Altansari have adapted to living in hell.
Yeah.
So speaking in whispers isn't just them being spooky or, dramatic for the aesthetic.
Not at all.
It is the deep trauma response of a people who know that a loud noise equals death.
Furthermore, if we connect this to the bigger picture, there's the detail that most of them refuse to ever remove their helmets.
Which is so creepy.
To the outside observer, sure, it looks like a hostile militaristic posture.
Like they don't trust you.
Right, they look like a faceless army refusing to stand down. But if we consider the environment they just escaped from, the helmet is serving a far deeper purpose.
It's shield.
It is a physical and psychological quarantine.
Oh, I love that. You step out of the Eye of Terror, but the Eye of Terror doesn't step out of you.
Exactly.
The helmet is literally the only thing standing between their fragile minds and the infinite madness they've been swimming in for millennia.
Right.
Taking it off probably feels like unsealing a spacesuit in a hard vacuum.
It feels like an invitation for the warp to rush back in.
That is so tragic.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that the other craft worlds don't see the psychological trauma, do they?
No, they lack that empathy.
They just see a silent, pale, faceless society that just crawled out of the most corruptive environment in existence.
And this introduces a profound societal rift.
Oh, yeah.
The other Azuriani view Altansar with deep suspicion and open hostility.
They're terrified of them.
They are terrified that the Altansari have been irrevocably tainted by chaos.
It's such a brutal reception. Imagine surviving a burning building that was completely sealed, where everyone else died,
Right.
and you somehow crawl out of the ashes a week later. Instead of the firefighters throwing a blanket over you and calling it a miracle.
They point their guns at you?
Yes, they point their guns at you and arrest you because they assume you must have made a deal with the fire to survive.
That phenomenon is what we might call survivor's suspicion.
Survivor's suspicion, okay.
Yeah, it flips the concept of survivor's guilt onto the observers.
That makes a lot of sense.
In the established logic of a Eldari, nothing survives the Eye of Terror. Period.
It's just a fundamental rule of their reality.
Exactly. Therefore, the very fact that Altansar survived is the exact evidence their kin use to prove they must be corrupted.
The miracle is the crime.
The sheer miracle of their existence is their condemnation.
Which raises the question for you to consider. Are the other craft worlds justified in this prejudice?
It's a difficult moral gray area.
I mean, can you actually soak in the warp for 10,000 years without it leaving a permanent stain on your soul?
Probably not.
Because the suspicion isn't just based on the Altansari being creepy and quiet, right? The prejudice is fueled by these dark, insidious rumors about how they actually managed to hide in the dark for so long.
Yes, and this is where we have to look at the Dread Pact.
Oh man, the Dread Pact.
This is where the sheer endurance of Altansar crosses over into genuine occult horror.
It's so dark.
The survival of the craft world isn't just attributed to silent running anymore. There are whispers among the Azuriani that Altansar survived by forging a pact with Ninid.
The Eldari god of the dead.
Exactly.
And the details of this pact are incredibly specific and, frankly, terrifying.
What do the rumors say?
The rumor is that an Altansari warlock dedicated her soul to Yvraine, the emissary of Inud, and then took her own life.
The dark sacrifice.
Yeah, this wasn't just a tragic suicide. It was a highly ritualized sacrifice designed to shroud the entire craft world in the embrace of the god of the dead.
The metaphysical mechanics of that rumor are fascinating.
Break that down for me.
Well, Demons of Slanesh are predators
Yeah.
that hunt the bright, living light of Eldari souls, right?
Right.
So if you want to hide from a predator that hunts the living, you wrap yourself in the cold, unreadable energy of the dead.
Oh, wow.
By sacrificing a powerful psychic leader to Yanad, Altansar theoretically cast a shadow of death over their entire population.
Making them invisible.
Yes, making them invisible to the warp entities that were hunting specifically for life.
It's literally making a deal with the Grim Reaper to hide your house from a demon.
That's a perfect way to put it.
It might work, sure, but now the Reaper holds the deed to your house.
Exactly.
But I want to push back on this narrative for a second. Let's really look at this.
Sure.
These are explicitly described in the lore as rumors and whispers spread by the other craft worlds.
Right, they aren't confirmed historical facts.
So is it entirely possible that the other Aziriani simply fabricated this ghost story to justify their own bigotry?
It's a very real possibility.
I mean, when you are terrified of an outgroup that you don't understand, and they refuse to take off their helmets and explain themselves, you invent a monster to explain your fear.
You fill in the blanks with your worst nightmares.
Right. They must have sacrificed someone. They must worship death.
The sociological instinct to demonize the unknown is certainly present, but, well, we cannot write the rumor off as pure fabrication.
Why not?
Because the political reality of Altansar validates the fear.
Oh, right. The Inari connection.
Exactly. Since returning to real space, Altansar has explicitly thrown its support behind the Inari cause.
They didn't just stay neutral.
No, they are actively aligning themselves with the faction of Ini.
So they basically lean into it.
They do.
They are saying, you already look at us like we are dead. You already treat us like ghosts, so fine. We will stand with the god of the dead.
What's fascinating here is that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Totally. The prejudice isolates them, so they ally with the isolated faction, which only hardens the prejudice against them.
It is a calculated political move born of complete alienation.
They have nowhere else to go.
Right. They have no home among the traditional craft worlds, so they find common cause with the radical fringes of their species.
Which makes sense from a survival standpoint.
It does. But when you move past the rumors and the political posturing, and you look at how the society of Altansar actually functions on a daily basis,
Yeah, the day-to-day reality.
the reality is far more bleak than any ghost story.
The culture of Altansar has been entirely erased. It's just been paved over by perpetual war.
It's a society of soldiers now.
Right, because the Assyrianis are traditionally known for their paths.
The path of the artisan, the path of the seer.
The path of the mariner, right. It is a society normally built on exploring the depths of the mind and the universe.
Finding balance.
Exactly, finding balance. But on Altansar, almost all societal roles are completely secondary to war.
There is no time for art.
You are soldier first, and everything else is a distant, almost forgotten luxury.
And the military structure they employ is a direct reflection of their 10,000-year attrition.
How so?
Well, they rely almost exclusively on infantry.
Which is weird for Eldar, right?
Very. Because the heavy armor, the grav tanks, the complex machinery of war, it was all ground down and destroyed over the millennia.
Just turned to scrap.
Right. You cannot build new vehicles when you are hiding in the dark, rationing every ounce of energy just to keep the life support running.
So you just have foot soldiers.
Yes.
And when you run out of vehicles and your infantry lines start to thin out over 10,000 years, you cross a line that the rest of the Eldari find utterly repulsive.
This is where it gets really grim.
Altansar relies extensively on wraith constructs.
A huge taboo.
Right. They take the spirit stones of the souls of their ancestors who are supposed to be resting safely in the Infinity Circuit.
Safe from Slanesh.
Exactly. And they plug them into war machines to send them back to the front lines. It's basically necromancy as a foundation of military doctrine.
That's exactly what it is. For the traditional Ashuriani, using a wraith construct is an act of profound mourning.
It's not done lightly.
Never. It is a desperate, horrifying last resort. It is akin to desecrating a grave.
But for Altansar, that revulsion is completely gone.
Completely erased.
They view it as a grim daily necessity.
There is a quote in the lore that defines their entire existence. Death offers no rest.
Man, I want you, the listener, to really think about the weight of that. Death offers no rest.
It's a heavy burden.
You fight a grueling, hopeless war for your entire life in the dark.
You suffer your whole life.
And you are finally killed. Your soul goes into the infinity circuit, and instead of finding peace, you are immediately yanked back out.
Shoved into a metal shell.
Yes, shoved into a metal shell and handed a gun. You don't get to rest in peace. You get to rest in a war machine.
This raises an important question, though. It forces us to examine the fragility of cultural morality.
What do you mean?
We view our deepest moral taboos as unbreakable laws of our society.
Sure, things you just don't do.
But Altansar is proof that morality is a luxury of a peaceful environment.
Oh, wow.
When you are trapped in a 10,000-year meat grinder, pure utilitarianism overwrites every single moral boundary you have.
Because if you don't, you die.
Exactly. If you refuse to put your grandfather's soul into a wraith construct, the line breaks, the demons breach the hull, and the children are devoured.
When that is the equation, the taboo against necromancy evaporates instantly.
It has to.
It is the ultimate pragmatism, but the psychological cost is the complete death of hope.
You lose the future.
If death offers no rest, then there is no heaven. There is no finish line.
There's only the endless shift on the barricades.
Which is why their hero worship is so hyper-focused.
Yes. Their armies consist heavily of dark reapers.
In honor of Magan Ra.
Right. And swooping hawks in honor of his brother Baharath.
They venerate the one man who got out.
Magan Ra represents the only thread connecting them to the universe they lost.
He's their ultimate symbol.
By structuring their military around his discipline, they aren't just employing tactical efficiency. No, they are engaging in the institutionalized worship of survival.
It brings the entire tragic arc of Altansar full circle.
It really does.
They survive the cataclysm of the fall. They hold the door shut for 500 years until their arms break.
And then they sit in the dark for 10,000 years.
Holding their breath, whispering, changing their very nature to hide from the monsters.
Becoming ghosts.
And when they finally break out of hell and return to the stars, they realize they have become the monsters to everyone else.
They are the ultimate embodiment of what the Eldari fear most.
They really are.
They prove that you can survive the worst thing imaginable, but the price of that survival is that you become completely unrecognizable.
As the text says, no one is ever truly safe.
The taint of the warp is always there.
The line between salvation and damnation is so paper thin that sometimes they ain't exactly the same.
A horrifying truth.
You survive the warp, but you are a pariah, a ghost, an outcast among your own blood.
Which brings me to a final provocative thought for us to consider, projecting forward from where Altansar stands today.
Okay, let's hear it.
We have established that 10,000 years of sheer survival in the darkest place imaginable stripped these people of their cultural taboos.
Right.
It stripped their fear of death and even the physical volume of their voices.
They survived the apocalypse by becoming weapons.
Exactly. But consider this. What happens to a society like Altansar if they actually win the war?
Wait, if the galaxy suddenly finds peace?
Precisely. If the Eye of Terror were closed tomorrow and there were no more demons to fight, what happens to them?
Oh, I see where you're going.
Could a society built entirely down to the deepest roots of its soul for surviving hell ever remember how to live in the light?
Or are they destined to carry the Eye of Terror inside them forever?
Fighting a war that has already ended because peace is an environment they can no longer survive in.
Man, if the war ends, the ghosts have nowhere left to haunt.
Exactly.
That is wow. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It was a pleasure.
Keep questioning the darkness. Keep exploring the shadowy corners of the universe, and we will catch you next time.